Sport. W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. For people like you. When I'm done with it, they feel like they were.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take it. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, brought to you by MaX Sports. Well, I hope everybody is going to be enjoying their Monday. Most people off of work for President's Day. So let's talk a little bit of Alabama sports as we go around the capstone. Got several things to talk about as far as when SEC Media Days have been set, as well as spring practice has had a few adjustments on the schedule as they get ready to start preparing for the 2023 football season. We will also be touching on some of the coaching grades, as well as, of course, number one, Alabama bouncing back with a big win over the Georgia Bulldogs, as well as softball and baseball getting some big wins over the weekend. But I hope everybody is having a blessed morning. Remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Remember to love someone, teach someone, reach someone, and be a difference in the world that you want to see today. Martin is out, and I am sitting in this lovely morning, as well as being joined by Aiden Dollins, pressing all the right buttons this morning. How you doing this morning, Aiden?
Hey, I woke up above ground, man. That's all you can really ask for. There was coffee in the pot. Let's rock and roll.
Hey, let's do it. So starting off, Bama gets a sweep in baseball this weekend over Richmond, as well as softball getting a couple big wins this weekend. Man, what was the most impressive thing to you between those two sports this weekend, if you got a chance to catch any of it?
I think it was softball. Not to knock what the baseball team did or anything, but I've spent a lot of time around the University of Richmond in my days, and baseball isn't exactly the most important program around there. So that was a nice team for the Bama baseball team to beat up on and get the ball rolling early. But the softball girls really had a very impressive showing in Clearwater, taking down one top 10 team and coming within, I think, 2 runs of the number 2 team overall, with a very young team. They lost a lot of their freshmen to the transfer portal last year. They only brought in 3 more, and they're off to a really impressive start. The one that impressed me the most was the girl's name is not ringing a bell to me right now, but the transfer pitcher from Michigan. She made her just second collegiate start against Indiana, and she pitched a complete game shutout with just 3 hits. And those were the only girls that had ever really seen her pitch before, because she played a lot of summer ball with those girls, and that was the only time she would pitch. So it was a really impressive showing for her. I was so happy to see that for her.
Also, so are you excited about having Montana Fouts back for one last year? You think she's going to be able to bring something home?
Yeah, and I'm excited that we've got this girl from Michigan to kind of provide her some relief. Once Lexi Kilfoyle went down last year, it was just kind of the Montana Fouts show. And don't get me wrong, she did great and all, but that's a lot to ask of one pitcher. It's nice to have somebody else to throw in the rotation against competent teams, because like Jalen Torrance and Alex Salter, they're great girls and they've come a long way, but they're not on that level. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely understand and agree with that. And then, of course, as we said, Alabama getting a sweep in baseball to start the season over Richmond. So great start for the baseball team, and we will be getting more in depth with them as the season goes along. But hey, man, Alabama seems to be that team you don't want to play after a loss in basketball. I know a lot of Alabama football fans were a little excited to see somewhat of a revenge against the Georgia Bulldogs, even if it was on a different field of play. But a 108-59 win over the Georgia Bulldogs Saturday after a heartbreaking loss to the Tennessee Volunteers midweek. Is Alabama potentially the best bounce back team in the country this year? I mean, when you just look at how they've performed after losses, the way they've been able to blow teams out, you saw what happened after they lost to Oklahoma, blowing out LSU. This is the fourth win over an SEC opponent by 40 plus points. I think this is only the second team to have ever done that. And you're talking about Adolph Rupp's Kentucky teams back in the day. So what is Nate Oates doing right with his team to get them back focused after a loss?
Well, they're hitting the gym, and I don't think the team. I think it speaks a lot to the team. In addition to Coach Oates, I don't think the players are shying away from receiving the notes on the game when they take a loss like this. You know, that's really easy to do as an athlete. After a loss, is just kind of curl up into your shell and say, "No, I know what I did wrong. I know what I got to work on. Like, don't press me about this, coach." You know, and that's not what it takes to succeed at this level of basketball. And these guys are embracing that, which is really impressive and mature for such a young team. What I'd love to see is for them to bounce back, not just for one game, but to continue the bounce back and not to start to slow down again a couple games after that bounce back win.
Agreed. And, great performances on Saturday by guys who struggled a little bit against Tennessee. Brandon Miller, 21 points. Mark Sears, 17, 5 from 8 from 3-point. And then Nick Pringle setting career highs in points and rebounds with 19 and 12. And then, of course, Rylan Griffin, Noah Clowney also getting into double digits. The most impressive thing is that this Alabama team seems to – you really don't know where you're going to get it from. Of course, you're going to have Brandon Miller getting his. Mark Sears is proven to be a very solid number 2. But then, man, after that, it is insane how much this team can spread it out. And you're talking about a team that I think at halftime was like something insane.
I think they were up 31 points at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely insane. But they were like 10 to 15 from 3 at half. So a struggle one game immediately turns around and is the strength the next. Does this Alabama team stay number 1?
Probably not. Probably doesn't stay number 1. It's such a dogfight in that top 5 right now that I think any team that takes a loss at all, the way things sit right now, as long as everybody else is taking care of their business, there's going to be some shuffling. So we'll probably stay in the top 5, but I don't think we stay quite at number 1, and I think that's okay. You know, this isn't football. It's basketball. There's 300 some odd teams that have a legitimate chance to make a run at it. So.
Yeah, and when you're talking about not saying number 1, I don't see Alabama dropping past number 4, honestly. Definitely within the top 5.
They're still a 1 seed.
Yeah, still a 1 seed for sure. And the other part of that is I don't know if you saw the committee released their top 16 seeds, the 1 through 4 seeds. And Alabama is still projected, even after the loss to Tennessee, of being a number 1 seed. So this Alabama team is still in very good position and heading into the final stretch of the season. They have South Carolina on the road on Wednesday. So, hey, this Bama team still has a lot of goals left in front of them. But real quick, we're going to get to Pat on the Alabama One hotline. Pat, how you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. Did you watch the basketball game? I was there.
Excuse me. I did not get to catch the first half, but I did watch the second half of it.
The first half was amazing. The threes was raining. This team is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Would you not agree?
They can have those moments in the losses. They are definitely a different team. But I mean, 23-4, I'm definitely going to go. They're more Dr. Jekyll than they are Mr. Hyde.
Well, all I understand is that we still do not value the basketball, the turnovers, the horrible passes. If you take away, and they've gotten better. From the first game I watched them in the beginning of the season. Of course, I mean, this is a very young team that hadn't really played basketball on the court. They practice, and they've got enough depth to practice extremely well. I mean, that I would think that practices are very heated and, but this business about wanting to get fancy with a basketball like they did against Tennessee and get the ball stripped away from you, I mean, it was so embarrassing. And that behind the back passing crap, that was just right there at the basket when going in for a drive to the goal. Whereas had he gone on in for the, straight on in for the, he may not have made it, but he might have made it. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. Do you not agree?
I do know what you're talking about. And, it's honestly, it's the brand of basketball and the style of basketball that's being played today when you look at it as a whole. So, I mean, it's okay when, and everybody loves it when it's working. Is the fact that when it's not working is when people take issue with it, from my opinion. And you're talking about this team had less turnovers Saturday than it did in the first half alone against Tennessee. So this team is playing better even after a loss. Now it's the question of the consistency and making sure that those passes are clean, those shots are open, and not rushing anything. Because I think that's what happened against Tennessee. You saw a lot of rushing when things weren't going Alabama's way versus Saturday. They just kept shooting, they kept playing their game. They didn't allow Georgia to take them out of what they do good, what they do well, and what makes them comfortable as a team.
Yep. And then I got to jump on this Alabama crowd. Oh, man. I sat and watched the ball game to the very, very end, which I always do, no matter how bad I'm getting whipped or how bad I'm winning, and not get to see the young man come off the bench at 4 minutes to go in the ball game. And he kept going down to the corner, and he was open. And then they finally throw him the ball, and he shoots and makes a three. Oh, my goodness, the crowd that was left went crazy.
Are you talking about Adam Cottrell?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. When he came in the game, I was like, all right, let's see what he can do. And hey, he finally got his shot off and hit it his second. I think they said on the announcement it was his second three of the season. He's a senior. He's known as the dad joke guy on the team. But a big moment for a senior, and you love to see moments like that when a guy gets an opportunity who doesn't get a lot of playing time.
I say, especially against a team like Georgia. Georgia in the past has given us fits, and to take Georgia down like that, it was a very special moment. It was obvious from the beginning, from the get-go in the first half, that Georgia didn't have a chance. This team was out to make a statement, and they did. And I just can't, if they bring them any lower than 2, it's people that don't understand basketball. I really think it is, because this group appears to be pretty special. I hope that I'm not, seeing the same stars that I saw back when Erwin Dudley was here. Do you remember Erwin Dudley? You're awful young. Do you remember Erwin Dudley playing basketball and how we were ranked number 1 in the country?
I do remember that. That's right around the time that I really started getting into basketball. Erwin Dudley, Kennedy Winston, some of those guys off of that team. Of course, Antoine Petway and his Ruby shoes as well. So yeah, that was right around the time I was getting into it.
Antoine Petway was probably, I don't know if he wasn't the best walk-on that Alabama's ever had. What do you think?
I did not know that he was a walk-on. But based off of the limited knowledge that I know over the last 20 years, he would definitely be in the conversation, if not the best for sure.
Yeah, man, hey, Petway was special. When you needed to drive to the basket, I enjoyed watching Petway. He was fun to watch. And I'm really glad that he's on the staff because he is special. All right. Anyway, hey, have a blessed day. Is your dad on assignment today?
Yes, sir. He is. He will be back with us tomorrow.
All right. Good deal. Wherever he's at, tell him to keep it between the ditches. All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
You too, Pat. All right. We're getting ready to head to break. When we get back on the other side, we'll talk about a couple local basketball teams advancing to the Elite Eight in basketball, as well as talk Bryce Young, the projected #1 overall pick, as well as getting into the coaching staff grades for the 2023 Alabama football season. We'll catch you on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks on this Monday morning. Traffic moving pretty well around the area. Now, if you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get the deal of a lifetime now at Townsend Nissan, $2,000 off selected models, interest rates as low as 0%, and great selection. I'm Captain Ray.
Hey, DC here to remind you about Mezrano. Mez wins. And I can't say enough good stuff about the Mezrano law firm. Let him win for you. Mez wins at 205-800-8000. 800-8000. Stephen Mezrano.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
You might get wireless data everywhere, but do you have to use it all the time? If that's not really you, there's TracFone. You can get the same nationwide 5G coverage as big carriers, but you pick a plan that you need for a lot less. Unlimited talk and text plans start at $15 a month, no contract. And now you can get the Samsung Galaxy A03s for just $49.99. TracFone. Now you're in control. While supplies last, 1 month equals 30 days. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Dell Technologies President's Day event is here with deals to power all your passions. The savings start now on select sleek XPS laptops and more, powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget, special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Just call 877-ASK-DELL for these limited time President's Day deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today. Tuscaloosa's high 63. Tonight and tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of scattered showers. The low tonight 54, the high tomorrow 69. Wednesday, very warm with a chance of scattered showers, the high 80. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 49 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at southmarkdesign.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
What happens when sunlight passes through ice crystals in cirrus clouds high in the sky? That light gets refracted, then forms a halo around the sun. Now to a moment of peace with this.
And Xavier, brought to you by MaX Sports. As we open up the second quarter, we will be breaking down the local sports teams as well as SEC Media Days and spring practice. But remember, you can get in on the conversation on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904. Give your opinions on the moves that are being made. But hey, talking locally, we've got 3 teams that have advanced to the Elite 8. 2 on the boys' side, 1 on the girls' side, as we have Paul W. Bryant High School playing Hillcrest High School in the boys' side in the Elite Eight. So Tuscaloosa is guaranteed 1 team on the boys' side in the Final Four, and the girls' team gets ready to take on the Pelham Panthers to advance to the Final Four on the girls' side. We do have a fellow intern, Jalen Prince, who covers a lot of those games. So hey, you can check him out on the Tide 100.9 app and see the articles that he has written about these teams locally, as well as we get into SEC Media Days. SEC Media Days has been set for July 17th through the 20th. Big news always happens around that time of the year. When you're looking at this, Aiden, who do you think some of the potential representatives are for Alabama? Because I mean, this is a team that is young.
That's really hard to say, man,
in a lot of
'cause,
key areas.
We don't even know who the starting quarterback's gonna be. You know, we don't know who's gonna. We don't know who's gonna be where on the depth chart to even bring in and matter. I would imagine Dallas Turner or Chris Braswell, one of the two, is gonna be there. That's about the only one that maybe Kool-Aid McKinstry, but I don't know what kind of a public speaker he is.
Yeah, because of where we are young at in certain positions, I'm gonna go Jace McClellan, maybe Seth McLaughlin on the offensive side of the ball. And then defensively, I like Braswell. I like Turner. And just to throw out some more, you got Malachi Moore, a senior coming back.
Yeah, I forgot
You
he's
got
coming
Kool-Aid
back.
McKinstry as well. So I think those are 4 good names of guys that you could potentially see representing Alabama.
Yeah, I would especially agree on Malachi Moore. He's definitely trying to do everything to embody the whole trust the process mindset we have here. Coming back for his senior season when, it's certainly not a requirement for him. He hasn't had all the playing time in the world, whether that be because other guys stepped up or because of nagging injuries. It's varied throughout the years. So it would have been really easy for him to hit the transfer portal and go somewhere and get some more playing time. There were even some, low rumblings about him potentially going out for the draft earlier in the offseason. But this dude's coming back, and he's an extremely well-mannered, well-spoken young man. He would actually be a really great fit to bring to media days.
Yeah, like I said, when you're looking at this, you're looking at guys that you envision as leaders on the team, potential captains, and that's why I kind of went with my selections. I think Jace McClellan. You could even have Roydell Williams, another senior running back on the team. Surprisingly, when the depth chart was released, with the updated name changes, the freshmen being added to the roster, a surprising name that I saw back was Darian Dalcourt, who will be a 6th-year senior. That he's another option. Of course, he lost his starting position to Seth McLaughlin last year due with some injuries / play that we've seen happen the last couple of years down the stretch. But he's a guy that you could potentially see move to guard and be a guy that can come back and contribute and start with the losses of Javion Cohen and to the transfer portal and Emil Ekiyor to the draft. Defensively, I think it's maybe Justin Aboigbe, coming back from the neck injury, having him back, a guy that has a lot of experience, a lot of playing time. There's some really good leaders and options on this team to be able to fulfill those roles.
Just kind of looking at some of the depth chart predictions that our own Josh Batchelor, another one of the interns here, has done. You go through this, and this is an astoundingly young team again, Xavier. Like, just a lot of young guys and just very little junior and senior leadership to step up into these roles, it seems.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing that's why you kind of got to look around. A surprise guy could potentially be. I know a lot of people might not like this, but a Jermaine Burton, you're talking about a guy that has played a lot of football. He even though it wasn't at Alabama, he has won a national championship. I mean, there's a lot of options that you can really go with it. Tyler Booker, a young guy, that we've seen kind of take a step up and be very, leadership wise on the field. Is There's off the field vocal and then there's on the field vocal, and Tyler Booker's a guy that has that. But realistically, man, we could see one of these quarterbacks take the reign and run away with it and potentially be a big voice on this team and be a representative. You just never know until you put the pedal to the metal and you see what happens on the field. So it could be a Jalen Milroe, it could be a Ty Simpson.
Yeah, and that'll probably come a little clearer come the start of spring practice. Finally, I'm still hanging, waving the banner of Eli Holstein season. Let's get it going right now. But on the subject of freshmen potentially stepping up and being a leader, we had a lot of these 2023 guys being, I know recruiting within your class is not an uncommon practice, but it felt like some of these 2023 guys were particularly vocal about recruiting some other 2023 guys, one of which that comes to mind for me is Justice Haynes being so vocal about trying to get Richard Young here, even though that might not necessarily bode well for his playing time down the road. What do you think of one of these freshmen, just stepping up, even if they aren't a starter, and being a leader on this team maybe?
Oh yeah, man, and that's what I was saying. Like with a guy like a Tyler Booker, who wasn't even a full-time starter, and seeing him step up in that way. And so you have all of these options. You have a Caleb Downs on the defensive side of the ball. You have Justice Haynes. Those would probably be the two most vocal guys that I've seen as far as this class. But you never even know. You got Quay Russaw and James Smith, two highly touted true freshmen on the defensive side of the ball that you could potentially see take that leadership role as well. And speaking of spring ball, we have the spring ball date getting changed a little bit. It has normally started the Friday before spring practice, but Coach Saban has moved it back to the Monday after. So these guys get another 9-10 days before they have to really get geared up and going. And of course, we saw the video this weekend that the football team released of guys starting their winter workouts and prepping for spring ball. What do you think about this move? Because this has been a tradition for a long time to start spring ball the Friday before. It kind of gets the guys focused before they go into spring break. And I think it helps as a deterrent for these guys not to do anything crazy or dumb over spring break, because they're already mentally focused on, hey, when I get back, Saturday after going home or going on a trip or whatever, they're already do anything stupid. I can't mess this up.
Well, look, there's two traditions I care about with Alabama football, and maybe unlike most fans, I'm cool with the rest of them go by the wayside. As long as the uniforms stay the same and we play Dixieland Delight in the stadium, I'm game. But I think that maybe this is part of the modernization of the program to get with the times. In this day of the transfer portal, you have to listen to the things the kids want a little bit more. And maybe this is just kind of a smaller sort of appeasement that Coach Saban can give them. Like, okay, fine, we don't start practice until you get back from Miami on your spring break trip or whatever, because at the end of the day, it's a tit for tat thing. Would you rather give up a little bit of ground on that, or give up a little bit of ground on how hard you're going to work them in practice day in, day out during the season? And, maybe there's some of the ways you ride them harder than almost any other coach in the country would.
No, I mean, that's a fair point, but I'm old school. I have a dad who grew. I grew up with a dad who played for Coach Stallings, who was a Junction boy and everything. But I think it is a big deal. When you look
Is
at
it
the
time to
standpoint,
restock on your men's touch of gray, Xavier?
hey, hey, the gray is showing a little bit more now that I cut my hair off. No, but no, it's interesting. I think it is a big deal. I think it might be a little bit of a give, but man, I think it's so important, especially for these young kids. These kids that normally would be in their second semester, they're finishing up their senior year, to come in and just say, hey, this is what we're focused on. We're focusing on football. You can go have your phone, your fun and all that stuff, but before you go have that fun, I want you focused on what's going to make this team better. So you're not making any crazy decisions. Yes, Nick Saban rides his team hard. He pushes them to the brink, but that's what makes Alabama, Alabama. And that's what has always made Alabama, Alabama, is the work ethic and the focus on the fundamentals and the small things when it comes down to football.
So the only other, maybe a little more logical that you could get with thing I would have to say on this is, if you get X number of days of spring practice, all right, which I'm sure it is. Like, let's say, I don't know the number,
it's
but
a limited number of days.
Let's say you get 25 days of spring practice. Would you rather have 4 days of practice and then a 9-day break? What is it, like 6, 7, 9-day break that kind of kills any momentum you've started building, and then have 21 more days to get ready? Or would you rather just have all 25 days back to back to back to back?
It's 15 days for spring ball.
Okay, yeah, so that's the number.
Yeah, so 15. And honestly, man, I would want to have that one to focus your mind, because I know it doesn't seem, I know to probably the average fan, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But you're talking, it's just one day, but it's that one day that sets the mentality before you get things rolling. So that's why I say have the one day before, and then you come out and you rock out 2 straight weeks, or I think it's 14 days over 3 weeks, essentially what it is, culminating in the spring game. So in my honest opinion, I think that one day before is so much more key than people realize. But we can pick this up on the other side, and then we will break down some of the overall grades for the coaches, offense, defense, special teams, and then we'll go in depth a little bit later on this week. But remember, you can join in on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904. Catch you on the other side.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Kim Rankin with your Tide Sports Update. Alabama men's basketball head coach Nate Oates has been named to the Naismith Men's College Coach of the Year late season watch list. The Alabama Crimson Tide football team will start spring practice on Monday, March 20th. The 2023 SEC Media Days schedule has been released.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. Run it again! For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks on this Monday morning. Traffic moving pretty well around the area. Now, if you do see conditions, of course, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get the deal of a lifetime now at Townsend Nissan, $2,000 off selected models, interest rates as low as 0%, and great selection. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama One, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Lace up those running shoes for the Visit Tuscaloosa Half Marathon and Publix 5K on Saturday, March 25th in Government Plaza. Register for the Publix 5K or half more rates go up on February 28th at TuscaloosaHalf.com.
Experience a level of performance you've never seen in a tournament bass boat until now in your new Camus Bass Boat powered by Mercury. From Boatworks in Northport, the overall ride and performance of Camus CX line powered by Mercury is a true game changer. They've been able to remove the chine, walk without compromising top-end speed or rough water handling capabilities. See the complete line of Camus CX model bass boats powered by Mercury at Boatworks, located in the old L&L Marine location on Highway 82 West in Northport.
This is Marcus agreeing to a fun winter game night, the kind with fun rules.
Okay, so the first player asks the second player to pick the third player's weapon.
Fun discussions.
Wow, guys. No.
And other fun reasons not involving staying in and sleeping on the bed he got at Mattress Firm's President's Day sale. There, he found great deals, like a king for the price of a queen and up to $700 in savings on Sealy. So shop Mattress Firm's President's Day sale, like Marcus, and miss out on winter plans, not sleep. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Action Matters is responsible for the content of this ad. Attention all women who use Tylenol or other medications containing acetaminophen, including NyQuil or Dayquil, while pregnant. If you or a loved one took Tylenol, Excedrin, NyQuil, Dayquil, and other over-the-counter pain relievers while pregnant, and your child was later diagnosed with autism, you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call 800-859-4205 now. A recent study from the National Institute of Health suggests use of the popular pain or cold medications during pregnancy may be linked to a higher risk of having a baby with autism. New and emerging lawsuits claim that manufacturers knew of this risk and failed to properly warn pregnant women of the potential harm for their unborn children. If you or a loved one took Tylenol or other popular pain relief medications containing acetaminophen while pregnant and your child was diagnosed with autism, you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call 800-859-4205 now. Don't wait. Time is limited to file a claim. Call 800-859-4205. That's 800-859-4205. 800-859-4205.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Excuse me. We are kicking off the second half as we get ready to break down some grades on the Alabama coaching staff. We're just going to do an overall grade, offensively, defensively, special teams, and then we'll come back at a later date and break down position grades. But real quick, I don't know, for those who are not listening on the radio but tuning in other ways, you have Nate Oates making the finalist list for Naismith Coach of the Year. Aiden Dollins, how big of a deal is this? Because in my opinion, Nate Oates and what he's done this year with this Alabama team, the youth, the inexperience, to have this team being ranked at one point number 2, currently ranked number 1, whether they stay at that position or not, has to be one of the best coaching jobs in the country this year.
Well, let's look at it. Obviously, basketball is a sport where it's get them out and reload very often, especially if you're a top program, bringing in a lot of these one and done players, which Alabama looks like it's trending in that direction. But last year was a particularly large overhaul of the team, even by basketball standards. And what he's done with this group of guys has been nothing short of incredible. And so for the naming to the watch list is absolutely deserved. And you're right, Xavier. I can't think of anybody in the country that has potentially done a better job than Nate Oates has this year. You either had more to work with coming in or a more established basketball team, or you just aren't doing as well as a program this season. And when you've got Nate Oates that's kind of done both, shoot, you got to give it to him.
Agreed. Nate Oates has my vote for Coach of the Year. I think he's done a phenomenal job, and I do not think Alabama has done as this team has a chance to be one of the best, if not the best, Alabama basketball teams we've ever seen. And of course, in my opinion, we also have the freshman of the year in Brandon Miller. And hey, man, they might even need to break out some, with these new rules, transfer of the year awards and some other things like that. So maybe if they ever do that, Mark Sears would have heard his name called for that as well, because I think he's done a phenomenal job in what he's brought to this team, transferring from Ohio.
I'm going to take the opportunity to again say publicly real quick that Mark Sears is my hands down favorite player on this team. Just need to get that out there as often as I can.
Hey, he's not a bad choice to pick from. But
I know he's 6'1", but he looks small on the court, and that makes this short guy feel great.
Mark Sears is 6'1"?
Hey, believe it or not, yes. That's
wow.
like them listing
thought he
Bryce
was like
at
5'11". Nah, but switching over to football, talking about some of these grades. So the overall offensive side of the grade, you have the new offensive coordinator in Tommy Rees, which is really the only move that we've seen on that side of the ball. Not a lot of position changes there along the coaching staff. He'll be also coaching quarterback. So that's the new piece on the offensive side. In my humble opinion, I am going to go with a overall grade. I'm going to go with a B+, just because there's some things left to be desired, and I want to see that with this team. I think the offensive line will be much improved with a new coach and a new coaching style calling the plays, but I want to see it first. I think running backs is really good as a room. I just want to see what this new group of guys can do versus some of the veterans that we have in that room, and see them come together. We had Jahmyr Gibbs on pretty much a 1-year rental, and we saw how special of a player he was. But I want to see Jason Roydell take the next step. I want to see no longer Jamarian Miller, but Jam Miller, as he is now listed, take the next step. I want to see these two freshmen that we have in Justice Haynes and Richard Young come in, is what they can do. Do we keep Emmanuel Henderson at wide receiver? Holman Wiggins, hey, he had some great rooms because of the guys that were already here in Judy and Waddle and Smitty and Ruggs, Mechie, got Jay. I want to see that room take the next step. The tight ends, we've got Dupree coming in. I want to see what we're able to do there with the young guys as well. Kitselman, who is was a JUCO guy but doesn't have a lot of experience at this level. Oots has been a utility player, fullback. But now Black, is he going to be a move tight end? Can he be a Brock Bowers for this Alabama team? So as an overall grade, I'm going to give it a B+ just because I want to see a little bit of improvement along the way.
The offensive line.
The offensive line?
Oh, along the way. I thought you said along the what. My bad, man. No, I think that's a really great grade. I think that's really tempered and well said. And I'm right in there with you. I'd go B+, A-. I'm really excited for Tommy Rees. I like that we're bringing in somebody young, somebody that's not overly well known, somebody people don't already have a game plan for. It's like having a rookie quarterback with a lot of talent. You don't know what you're going to get, and that right there might win you a handful of games you wouldn't have normally won because the DC doesn't know how to plan for it. I especially love the energy Tommy Rees brings. I don't know if you saw it circulating on Twitter when he first took the job. His wife has been rocking a run the dang ball hat the whole time he's been at Notre Dame. So, I think we're both pretty excited to see that, especially behind an offensive line in Eric Wolford's second year. They made massive strides recovering from the brief Doug Marrone era last season, and we can probably expect to see continued improvement there.
Yeah, I agree. And Tommy Rees, what I think he's going to do for this quarterback room, not trying to get too off into the weeds of him, but I think the growth that you'll see with Ty, with Jalen, whichever. I know you're a hosting guy. I know you're a hosting guy, but
I've made it known.
You've made it known, but I do believe it's one of those two guys, and I think both will improve up under him through spring ball. and then whichever one of these guys kind of takes the reins through the summer, I think you'll see a lot of growth from him. He's a guy that played the position, as you said, young guy. I think he'll do really great with that. But moving over to the defensive side of the ball, a few more changes on that side of the ball, replacing Charles Kelly, replacing Pete Golden, Kevin Steele coming back. You're a good bit younger than me, so you probably don't remember Kevin Steele, that era of Alabama football, really. But, man, those teams were nasty back then.
They were smash mouths. No, I do remember that. I mean, that was the dark era of DC football. So we were watching a lot of college football in my house back then.
but I'm so excited to see what he brings to this defense. Now, with the returning talent, this infusion of young talent, along with the coaching changes, and where I think I'll give this, I'll keep it same grade, B+, A- as a staff, because I think they'll be really good, and we'll be able to see a lot of things happen on that side of the ball with the guys that we have returning, and then the potential infusion of a Keon Keeley, a James Smith, Quay Rusall, Caleb Downs in the secondary, along with that veteran presence. So I'll give the grade around the same.
I'm not sure I agree with you here. I understand that Kevin Steele ran a smash mouth program back in the day, but I would also offer the caveat of Kirby Smart was working underneath of them, and Scott Cochran was part of that program still back in the day. I'm not sure that we've seen Kevin Steele have anywhere near that level of success in more recent years. And additionally, I think the way college football is trending is it's becoming less and less beneficial to have a very experienced defensive coordinator, because they seem to have a harder time kind of getting with the times of these younger, kind of more fast-paced modern offenses, which a lot of teams in the SEC are running now. It's not just a Pac-12 thing anymore. It's not just Chip Kelly out at Oregon. So I'm concerned about the ability to adapt to that. I'm also concerned, kind of like, dude, are we running a retirement home here? Because Kevin Steele's got like 2 years left towards state retirement. And, there were a lot of other names that were floating around out there. And it just makes me wonder, is Kevin Steele getting his full state pension while we wait for Jeremy Pruitt to settle his lawsuit? I have some concerns, but I'm eager to be proven wrong.
Well, I'll give you this. You talk about the changing with times. When you remember, I don't know if you remember when he was at Auburn just a handful of years ago, and how good that defense was. So to me, and the fits that he gave Alabama during that span of time, when you think about all the weapons that Alabama had while he was at Auburn and doing a very good job, it wouldn't have surprised me if at that point in time, that if Auburn had given him the head coaching job instead of going with a Brian Harsin. I think Auburn would be in a better shape as a program today if he had gotten that job. So I get where you're coming from, but I think Kevin Steele has proven that he can change with the times as college football has evolved and changed. Granted, he doesn't have a Kirby Smart, he doesn't have a Jeremy Pruitt, but I like an Austin Armstrong and what he was able to do at a Southern Miss and things of that nature. And some of the other young coaches that we have Travaris Robinson. You have Freddie Roach, who is a phenomenal recruiter, and I think he's been a pretty good, D-line coach. I know everybody compares him to Bo Davis and things of that nature, but he's done really good, in my opinion, with the talent that he's had at that position. So that's why I'm a little bit higher on the grade for him. But what would your overall grade be for the defense?
I'd probably be willing to go with a C+ here. Just as of right now, I'm still not convinced we aren't going to lose Freddie Roach to the Houston Texans. I'm not convinced that doesn't happen before the season starts. He goes and joins up with his friend D'Amico Ryans. So I've kind of got one foot out the door, kind of waiting to see if that happens. But as of right now, I'd give it a C+. I do think we have enough veteran leadership on the defensive side of the ball and enough outstanding young talent coming in that it's going to be hard to mess up the defensive side of the ball. So I'm not going to be too woeful about it.
Yeah. And I got a question for you. Would you believe that 2023, Austin Armstrong, Travaris Robinson have an opportunity to be 2007, 2009 Kirby and Jeremy.
Obviously, they've got an opportunity, man. They're working under Nick Saban. They're working under Nick Saban. They've got the opportunity. It's just, and everybody that's come through has had the opportunity. It's just a matter of whether you capitalize on it. Travaris Robinson seems like, especially when you combine his recruiting skills with what the defensive backs have been able to do in recent years, in spite of how much more is asked of a DB in today's game than it was just 10 years ago. I think he's got an excellent opportunity to do that. And Austin Armstrong, people should be excited about that guy. He's young, he's intelligent,
Agreed.
he's intense, he's a great leader.
He's already been a DC.
Yeah, Grant. Oh no, it's Southern Miss. He's still been a defensive coordinator. That's a home run hire. That's a great job that we did going and getting him.
Yeah. So I think that that's a really good opportunity for those guys, especially, and once again, they're learning up under the same two guys that Jeremy and Kirby really got their start up under and what they turned into. Because you got to remember, Austin was a DC already. Kirby wasn't. Jeremy Pruitt was coaching at Hoover High School when I was in high school. So you got
forget that about him. That he is really as local of a local boy as you can be for coaching.
Exactly. Think I'm 31. I'll be 32 this summer. Jeremy Pruitt was a high school coach when I was in high school, and since then he's made his way up. But and just real quick before we get to George, special teams great. We got our punter back. We've got our kicker coming back, Will Reichert, for a 5th year. I'm giving that group an A. I'll give it a solid A. What's your grade, real quick, for them?
Will Reichert's coming back, baby. It's an A+ all day.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, hey, we've got George from Macon joining us on the Alabama One hotline. How you doing, George?
I'm good, guys. How are y'all doing? Yeah, as far as the defense, I think that, you all were talking about we got to go more towards the future with this new offense. I think the reason the way you stop this offense is to go back to the history of, smash mouth like Georgia does. I think when somebody's in the running, you got to punish them, and we haven't been punishing people. You got to make them think about going through the line. You got to make them think about, when they're in open spaces. And I think that Kevin Steele brings that smash mouth, hard-nosed defensive football back to us. Plus, the guy that came in, I can't double A or whatever people are calling
Austin Armstrong.
Supposedly he's supposed to be a very good outside and inside linebacker coach. And I think that in the inside, that's where we were kind of missing a lot of our physicality. So I'm kind of with you, X. I think a B+ or an A- on defense is where we're going to be. I think that we're going to be pleasantly surprised. And I just, I think we wasted a lot of talent last year by not playing more smash mouth defense. And I think that's where you stop these offenses. You don't do things different. You go back to the history, and that's your future. You got to make people not want to run the ball. You got to make people not want to catch the ball in space. And I think that's where we're going to be. And as far as the special teams, I'm with you. We got Will Reichert, and I think we'll get a punter, and we're going to have so much good youth. I think our special teams are going to be great. And I'm looking forward to next year, and I think we're going to have a heck of a team and roll tide. What do you think about what I said?
Oh, I agree with you. I think that the smash mouth aspect is what is going to make this team better again. You hear a lot of the former players that have played up under Coach Saban talking about returning to that, making that team afraid to play you before they ever step on the field. And Alabama's gotten away from that. And you've seen that happen at Georgia, and being able to be that physical monster of a team. And they got it from Alabama. I mean, Kirby learning everything that he learned. Schumann, everything that he learned here at Alabama. So I'm excited to see that way return to Alabama. And I think that's what it's going to take. But I appreciate the call, George. Got to get ready to wrap up. You have a good Monday. All right?
See you later, guys. Y'all have a great day.
You as well. Hey, to wrap up the show, the XFL is back. And with the XFL being back, we have seen the return of A.J. McCarron and what he was able to pull off yesterday with a come from behind win due to the rules of the XFL. Hey, going forward on 4th and 15, essentially, with the ball back instead of a onside kick. Is that something that college football, the NFL might potentially install? It was something that was offered to the owners a year ago, just didn't get enough votes. Hey, this is Xavier Houston, Aiden Dollins, pressing all the right buttons. I appreciate you all tuning in with us on this Monday. Y'all enjoy the day off. We will catch you back tomorrow at the same time. We'll see you on the other side.
Bring you back to a healthier, happier love life. Even if Viagra, Cialis, and testosterone have never worked for you, they can.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the.
Maybe the time just before the accident. If this is you, contact Leonard Papantonio Rackham